everybody, Orange Podcast Bad. You recognize me, I'm sure. I'm Sean. You recognize Cass, I'm sure. The Cass is over there on the video. We also have a caller, Desi. He's our designated go-to MAHA guy. And he will tell you, he's not a doctor. He's just a health advocate for himself, and he wants to share the information that he's learned with others. So, whatever hospital system or government system that wants to sue us, none of us are doctors. We're just going to talk about our own experiences and what works for us and throw around some ideas. Hey, Desi, how are you doing? We're so glad to have you back.
Hey, Sean. Hey, Cass. And hello to all the viewers and listeners. I'm doing solid. It's a Friday evening. Can't be more excited than this. Looking forward to the show.
Awesome. So, the title, listen, you got to understand, we don't do a lot of, we don't script any of this, and through DMs or whatever communications we have, we came up with the title, Believe in Yourselves. Did you want to jump in there, Desi?
That is correct. Absolutely. And I'm very excited about that. So it is believe in yourselves. And, oftentimes we've all gone through the biology lessons or, in our school, and we know what cells are. However, we might not know the impact of it, in our current age. I'm 41, and it doesn't matter how old we are, especially as adults. I don't think we pay enough attention to the cellular technology in our body. And literally, it is technology. It just doesn't get talked about enough. But what do I mean by believe in yourselves? It simply means let's all pause and just pay attention to the idea that every cell within our body is there to help us live, help us have a long life. And if we're suffering with any disease or even a minor injury, they're there to protect us. However, I don't think they get enough attention. And I don't mean, let's talk about the cells all the time. I'm talking about the idea that all of us should pause and just realize that we have 37.2 trillion cells. I believe that's, last time I checked, that's how many cells or a human body has 37.2 trillion cells. I mean, just think about that. I can't even imagine how much that is. I'm not that good at math to imagine 37.2 trillion. But that's how many cells there are in our body. And when God created us, that's what I believe. I think He created them to help us live a long and a peaceful life for as long as we can live it, as long as we're blessed. However, I don't think it gets talked about enough. But the reason for that title is, again, goes back to the idea. Just because we're in a society where it doesn't matter what channel you turn on. Every few minutes, there's somebody trying to sell us a medicine or prescription or a vaccine, something, and they always have these ads. Take this, and they'll show you a happy, smiling face, and then they also, of course, tell you about the risks. I'm sure you both have heard them, and the risks
Right,
are
and they're
longer than.
awful.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
if you listen,
Yeah,
like actually listen to them, it's absolutely awful. They're like, "This is gonna happen to you. You're gonna live on Mars. Gravity stops," and you're just like, "What? Why would I take this?"
Yeah, for restless
yeah.
leg, the one of the main things that got me and started making me really pay attention. Restless leg syndrome. Your leg's going to bounce, but in order to cure that, you're going to get anal leakage. I don't want anal leakage. I'd rather
Yeah.
have a bouncy leg.
Right?
Yeah, they
Like,
always
Sorry.
think of a medicine, and and the medicine and the medical industry, the pharmaceutical industry, absolutely, it serves a purpose. However, my personal opinion is that its purpose gets inflated. Like I feel like they give us more medicines without ever talking about what are simple things we can do to cure, or what are some processes within your own body, or what are the daily habits we can do, so that we're not solely depending on medicine. Because medicine is not bad. I mean, I've taken medicines when I had to. But do I first thing something hurts? Do I go to medicine? Probably not. But again, that's what the idea is, and it's so philosophical, that title, "Believe in Yourselves," because I don't know about you. I hope you're not related to anybody that has cancer, but my sister fought cancer, stage 2, and she's free of it now. So God has blessed us, so she's
Wow.
free. She's alive and well. However, when that happened not too long ago, I think I've always been a health enthusiast, But when I learned that my sister fought it, something just happened to me. I felt like, I've got to do something. I'm 41. I've so many souls depending on me, 3 kids and a wife, my parents. So I thought, let me learn something about, why people get cancer. What are some common causes? And perhaps the most profound information that I learned is that your body, the cells in your body fight off small cancers, perhaps probably daily. I mean, did either of you know about that?
Yeah,
I have heard that, yes, and it's usually white blood cells that do that. And
actually,
that's
Yes.
why they
Yeah.
track the level of white blood cells you have in your body to determine if you have some sort of infection or a cancer or parasite.
yeah, but
Yes.
I mean that's what a cancer is. A cancer is just an abnormal cell, and that's all it is. It's not something, when you look at it at the simple level, that's all it is. It's just an abnormal cell. The problem is when those abnormal cells become uh, they start duplicating and you get more and more. That's when the cancer is bad because we have cancer in our body all the time. We always have that. It's just a matter of fighting it or not. And when our white blood cells go up, that means we're fighting something. And if it's slow moving, we don't notice that it's happening. Your blood cells will raise up, but you feel fine until one day you just don't.
Yes, exactly. And that's how it works. Now, I'm sure we've all felt some pain before, whether it's from a wound or anything, and it did disappear later. Whether medication or not doesn't matter. And that I would like to think that our body cells were at work. And with cancer, I also learned, this is again not medical advice, but you can feel free to ask any AI chatbot or Google, whatever your source is. Apparently, your cells can actually prevent, not cure, prevent cancer. And that does happen due to a lot of processes. And I know, Sean, we spoke about some of those. Autophagy was one of them. That's a process of self healing, and we'll get to that in a minute. But apparently, your body can prevent it. Not, but once you get it, it's different. Then you need a cure. But again, that topic alone, I don't think anybody talks about it. I don't think we're even made to hear. I probably guess, the food industry, pharmaceutical industry just doesn't want the average human being to know that your body does that. I'm glad that you two know about it because I just think it doesn't get talked about enough. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
there's
Yeah.
go ahead.
go ahead, Cass. Yeah, go ahead. Jump in.
So there's things that I learned when I was younger. When I was much younger, I was a paramedic, and then I got into a horrible car accident where I actually died for a little bit, but I got better. So that was what got me started thinking because the doctors told me I was never going to have full strength of the left side of my body again because of the damage that was done by the other car. Um, but the body is an amazing thing and can do a lot of self healing or adaptations, and it can overcome a lot of things that the doctors don't really say or don't really know. And that's why I say doctors are just really good guessers because a lot of medicine is what happens inside your body, inside your head, and the positive thinking and everything that you can do. And when I was young, I abused my body much like a bunch of young teenage boys did, I'm sure, with illicit substances that I should not have been using. But the one thing that I always tried to do when I did that was I tried to keep my body replenished with vitamins, and not just vitamins like unnatural vitamins. I tried to megadose on vegetables. So while I was abusing my body, I was also trying to put something into my body that I knew that was going to be taking out. And that's where I sort of got smart because if you're putting something in your body that's using more energy than you should, you need to be replacing it. And that kind of thought kept me going for a long time where if I was doing anything, I just know I needed to replace it. When I was young, they had me on medicines that I would still be on if I listened to the doctor. And I stopped taking those, and I started finding natural ways to do things. When you do things naturally, I'm a firm believer that you find a natural cure for it. Your body's going to work with that a lot better because you're not replacing it synthetically. You're replacing it with what is actually in nature, and your body is a machine, and it will function highly but you have to, if you put synthetics in it, it's not going to work so good. That's my belief.
Exactly, and it's not even sustainable. I mean, if we use our the processes within our own body, that is sustainable. So what you are doing and what you are doing is that's sustainable. And anything synthetic, from outside, that's just not good. And that's that again. We just as a society don't talk about this enough, and the focus is always on, let me take a pill and cure it that way. I'm not going to research anything because most people want the easiest thing, right?
Well, let
Yeah.
me let's just knock this out. We have no, like, we are not technologists, scientific technologists, but even Elon Musk said that mRNA, which would be an injection as opposed to an oral pill, will eventually cure cancer. It's just not there yet. So again, we're relying on technology that's unproven. And you could look at technology that we've already had, like aspirin, insulin. Don't people like insulin? I'm sure that people that are insulin dependent need it. This is not a slam on big pharma or big medicine. This is just we're having a conversation about how to feel good, how to feel healthy, and our experiences. So my personal
Exactly, and
opinion
yeah.
on mRNA is it's not ready yet, but it will be. It will be just as fast as AI technology will be driving us from my house to Kessa's house, so I can hang out for a barbecue, and then sleep all the way back from the left coast to the right coast.
I like that. Left coast to the right coast.
Left Coast to the Right Coast.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, the important thing on that is, and this is what and I wish I'd learned this sooner, is there's something that a lot of Europeans are healthier than us for a lot of reasons. And one of the main reasons is they don't limit themselves on things like rich foods. We're just going to use this for the example: rich foods, strong coffees. They don't stop themselves from having it. It's just the portion sizes that we have. So if you have everything in moderation, you're going to be okay because you're not depleting your body. Like I know, like a full size Snickers bar or a Snickers bar in the EU in many places, it's a little tiny bar, and for us, we get the ultra king size, which is almost a foot long in some places. Why do we need that much? But a lot of that is also a lot of the thinking that got me to where I am. Everything is in moderation. So you can abuse your body, but it's got to be in moderation. You can put good things into your body, but if you put too much good things into your body, you're going to become unhealthy because your body isn't doesn't need that much. Except for maybe like vitamin C. If you take too much vitamin A, you will die. You can die from that. If you drink too much water, you can die in a short period of time.
That is
It's
correct. Yes. Yeah.
everything in moderation, and that's got to be the key here that I've tried to learn. Um, and I got a good example of this. I have two very debilitating diseases now. I have kidney disease because I get kidney stones, and I can tell you that I have ADHD, as you can tell because I'm rambling. But one of the cures that they want to give you for that is methamphetamine or methamphetamine type substance like Ritalin. And back in the day, they wanted me to take cross tops when I was like 6. I'm 54. They didn't have Ritalin. So at the age of 6, I started drinking coffee. And coffee helped keep me in check. Well, the more that I began to function at a higher level, as I became a teenager and a young man, the more coffee I drank. Because I drank so much coffee, I would literally drink pots and pots of coffee a day. You do that, it doesn't matter how much water you're going to drink, you're just going to deplete your waters and you're not going to get the water that you need. So I was drinking pots of coffee, and that helped regulate one thing. But because I let it run for too long, now I have kidney disease.
Have you ever introduced
I see.
nicotine? I'm not talking about picking up a pack of cigarettes, but nicotine is
So,
very effective for ADHD people.
so this is a much different time, folks. I'm not saying I advocate for this. I was in farm country. I literally rode a horse to school when I was in junior high for a year or two. Um, but I started chewing tobacco, being on farm living. I started chewing tobacco at like the age of 11 um, and 12. I remember sitting in church with a chew in my mouth and not having to spit. That's how hardcore I was for an hour just sitting in church. So nicotine has always been there. I've it over what 40 years. I cut nicotine out, and I'm now nicotine free. And that's not just one of those things I could go to, but again, that's one of the crutches that I used. And for a lot of people,
Okay.
it's one, but for ADHD, it's one of those things that absolutely helps with and coffee and nicotine. And I had to cut both of those out. Um, Luckily, not at the same time.
That's amazing, Guess. If you don't mind sharing, could you talk about what tools or what did you do to avoid depending on them? And I ask because all humans, we all have some vices, correct? I mean, I know I have a few, and I try what I found works for me is when I want to replace a habit or something I want to be void of in my life, I try to think of something that's healthier that would benefit me by doing more of, maybe like reading. And I know Sean knows I post a lot of gym pictures of working out. I found that as a almost like a cure, that I could do probably 3 4 hours of it and it won't ruin me. It would help my body. So, how about you? I'd love to hear your journey.
So I did the typical thing that you're not supposed to do. I replaced one bad habit with another. But hold on. I went from 4 to 5 pots of coffee a day to drinking two Monster energy drinks. Right, the big, big huge
Like
drinks.
24 ounces, the big bad
Yeah.
boys.
So I went from
Boy, do they
that.
keep you sharp.
They got the extra energy, but it also depletes your body in other ways. You have to remember how to replace that vitamin B12. Anyway, that's boring stuff. So I went to the big energy Monster drinks, and I just switched over to that and quit drinking coffee. And then I weaned myself down to where I went to Red Bull because Red Bull has a little 8 ounce drink,
Mm.
and so I started going to one Red Bull. I would allow myself one Red Bull a day and one cup of coffee. That was it. Now I know people are like, "Oh, that's still a lot." But I was 4 pots a day on a slow day. Literally, I would, and for a while I was a snowmaker. And when I say I smoked at my height, I was smoking like 4 packs a day because I was a snowmaker. You're awake for 24 hours in a day sometimes, and nicotine and caffeine is what ran my life. So for
Oh,
me to
yeah.
so for me to cut down to one coffee and one energy drink a day, that's what I would allow myself. And it was a little energy drink, and I wasn't drinking the espresso unless it was one of those modified times or, because I was working storm mode. I used to be a lineman, so I would work storm mode and I would need that extra energy. I would replace one thing. When it came to smoking, um, I did the vape, and I went down to zero nicotine. And for me, it was the habit, and it was very difficult. It was very hard. It was I was angry. I just worked a lot, and I worked by myself, and I knew it was a me problem, so I just replaced it until and I can go without drinking coffee. I don't enjoy it, but I can go. I often go without drinking coffee, and I'll just drink very first thing I wake up, I drink a 16-ounce glass of water before I do anything. I will get up, walk
Oh,
out,
that's amazing. I love that.
do a 16-ounce glass of water, and then I will go to the bathroom. I'll take the dogs outside, and then I'll come back in. And if I'm going to do anything, especially in the summer, before any meal, 16 ounces of water. And that's just what I do. If I'm bored, I will drink a 16-ounce glass of water. I'm sitting here on the live. I'm probably going to go get another 16-ounce water when I stop talking.
Good for you. I mean, that I'm impressed with that habit. I I do depend on coffee because you were talking about coffee earlier. I still drink, I think, a lot of it. However, let's say, I mean, my relationship with it has gotten better. It's been probably 6 years since I drank coffee with any cream or sugar. I still do it occasionally, every now and then, especially with the misses, if we have to have like a coffee that's like a dessert, sure. But mostly I drink black coffee. My wife drinks it that way too. We've shifted in the last 6 years. I do drink a lot of it. I will say I wish I drank less. However, I found a way to find balance. I I stopped drinking it after 11, and I drink with purpose. So if I drink after 11, it's obviously to get a workout and be extra alert. But I was going to ask when Kes comes back or if he's here. How about you, Kes? Were you drinking it black?
I I only drink coffee black. If I get Starbucks,
Oh,
it's such.
nice. Yeah.
If I get Starbucks because it's crappy coffee, I get strong coffee and it's sweet stuff. It's just not good coffee. I don't quit Starbucks. It's when I get Starbucks, it's because everybody else is going there, or it's because I've just been awake for 24 hours and I need a lot of caffeine and a lot of sugar to keep me up. And I know what I'm doing when I do that. However, I don't drink coffee like I did because of the kidney stones. You ever get a kidney stone, you're going to start figuring out another way to figure out how to not do coffee. I promise.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I mean, fortunately, I hope your kidney stones have completely gone away and you're free from it, and you're doing an amazing job drinking water. This is again, and I'm going to use this phrase a lot, Sean. So if I'm using it too much, just say, Desi, stop saying that. Doesn't get talked about enough. We don't drink enough water. So the fact that you're drinking and keeping
True.
your body hydrated, that's very good. I'm related to a few that think that water does not have flavor and all that. That's okay. You can drink sparkling water or figure out natural ways.
I
But either ways, it's good to stay
I
hydrated.
listen, like, so I will typically do like a 12-ounce coffee sometime mid-morning now. I used to be a coffee drinker too, but I also had to quit cigarettes for medical reasons. I still do nicotine, and we'll be clear about that. I can explain that later if anybody wants to ask a question about, well, I see you vaping. Yeah, it's a nicotine delivery system. It doesn't have all the whatever. So I also, Desi, 12 ounces, maybe 4 or 5 days a week of coffee, because I like coffee. I do. But I don't stop by the gas station to pick up cigarettes every morning. So I have no reason to stop and also get a coffee, right? Like it was a change of habit. And that change of habit was not going to the gas station to buy a pack of cigarettes, which then would in turn get me to buy a coffee and put all the whatever crazy crap the squirt bottles and the whatever they like the disgusting stuff that like so when I stop now and get a coffee because I have to get gasoline, I just get a coffee with dairy creamer. I don't do the half
Yeah.
and half. I don't do the French macchiato. I just look at it and go, that's probably gonna kill me. I'm just gonna use dairy, milk, a little bit of milk, a little bit of coffee, 12 ounces. I'm out the door. And you know what the best part is? I don't even look at the cigarette rack on the back anymore. I don't even think about it. Don't.
You want to know something
That's
that I
amazing.
do? Something that I do is I live in a house where my aunt and my wife both smoke, and I routinely stop by the 7-Eleven and buy cigarettes, and I don't have a desire to smoke. It's I mean, so here's the thing. I didn't quit smoking because I didn't like smoking. I didn't like what it was doing to my body, and there were certain things I didn't like about it. But I love smoking. I loved it. It was one of those things that I truly enjoyed smoking. Um, and so every once in a while, it always happens. Like if I'm watching a movie, I will see somebody, and I will. Oh, I really want a cigarette. And every once in a while, something like that will happen, I want it, but I know it's bad for me, and I don't have the craving anymore. That's the thing, is the craving. But your body is trained to crave it because it's nicotine.
Yeah, and I will say, Cass, that goes back to the title. I really believe you must have heard me say cellular technology. I personally believe that there is a technology that our cells use that's even better than anything human created outside. Maybe your body cells and your intuition, whatever you call it, your will, it has taken over and it is giving you that control to preserve you as a human being. And that's you, your habit, whatever you call it. I like to believe that it's your body cells as one entity. So good job.
I'm also a firm believer that if you listen to your body and not the cravings, because you can get those gut bacteria that makes you want to crave sugar. But if you listen
Mhm.
to your body and you're just walking through and you go, you know what, I really want Brussels sprouts for dinner. There's a reason you want Brussels sprouts for dinner. Maybe your body needs the vitamin A, maybe your body needs something in it, or you'll be walking through and go, oh, you know what? I really want some summer squash. I want some zucchini. Just for some reason, it's just that fleeting moment that you hear it, but you have to pay attention and you have to go, I'm going to get that because my body needs something in it that I want.
Hey,
You
Cass,
Yeah,
know?
I got a
absolutely. I like what you
question.
said. You have to listen to your gut. Yeah.
I got a question. We're on episode 2 of Maha, and we really appreciate Desi being here. But we talked about on episode 1 of Maha Lifestyles, this move that Bobby Kennedy wants, basically all restaurants to get rid of seed oils and go back to beef tallow, which is it's just beef fat. That is it's a frying grease for whatever your chicken wings, your French fries, whatever you fry, right? And I did have an experience where I was able to stop at Steak and Shake and try the fries, and they're the fries that I remember from going to a McDonald's with my grandmother 40 years ago, like before they switched to this seed oil stuff. Through and it happened through a lot of things, and we explained it. You can go back and check out that episode. We explained where seed oils came from. But have you seen any of that in California, where there's a switch back to a more healthy cooking oil grease, which would be beef fat, beef tallow?
So, so those of us that believe that the old ways aren't always bad, yes, some of us, but California is all about go vegan, man. Let's put it on our avocado toast, and olive oil is the best thing for you. Avocado and coconut oil, it's so good. You can put it in your motor, man. It just makes the earth. You get people like that, and they will not go back because beef tallow is a beef product. Everybody remembers the McDonald's French fries when they were the greatest thing in the world, and I would you I mean that was one of the things where I would go to McDonald's when I was a kid just to get the fries sometimes because they tasted so good. I get fries now and you have to eat them when they're brand new fresh, and it's just because of the salt. They don't taste good anymore. Um, they just literally don't taste good.
Well, and that was the thing, right? You didn't need salt, you didn't need ketchup, you didn't need to add anything to a beef tallow fried potato stick, which
Yeah,
is
I mean,
French fry.
yeah, but California, there's, I mean, don't get me wrong. So a lot of California is all about the going vegan kind of green earth thing. But there's a lot of us here that are not all. We're not all Democrats and that far left thing. There's a lot of us that are middle of the road. Like I said, I grew up on a farm. I named cows that I had for dinner. We had bacon that had names on them, and on the outside of the package, some of them had their names on them. And so, I mean, for me, it's a natural part of what's going on, and I didn't have a problem doing that, but a lot of people do. So the fight to go back to beef tallow is sort of here because bone broth. People are back on bone broth now. So you've got
Oh,
a lot of the Adkins type people, and I'm not saying Adkins. I'm just saying the Adkins type people
not
that
an advertisement.
not an
Rumble.
advertisement, but the Adkins type people that said that protein is good for you. And there's a lot of people out there that believe that. And so you have a strong following. It's just not as big as the vegan movement right now because vegan is supposedly green energy, and we it's not.
You
Um,
set me
Yeah.
up
Anything
for
that screams
exactly
like
what I
that, it's
wanted to
usually
get
the
into.
opposite.
It. You set me up for
Yeah.
exactly what I wanted to get into with Desi. Desi had a post over on his account. You can find him on X. You can find Kess on X. I posted on my X both of their handles underneath this live. Oh, Desi, so pizza can be protein.
That's right. Yep. It's to me, for just me personally, I think it gives you all. It gives you protein. It gives you carbs. It's fatty because of the cheese. And I like pizza. Would I eat it every day? No. I sure would eat it with purpose, and I consider it a comfort food. Uh, And I also personally I use some of those oils, by the way, Kes. But I'm probably as far as I can be from ever being a Democrat. In fact, I have some weird theories I can't even talk about here. But I do use extra virgin olive oil. I use ghee. I use coconut oil. I don't have beef tallow. I don't even think they sell it in my zip code. But absolutely, if they do, that would be such a healthier switch. But my point in saying that, you asked about pizza, Sean. Yeah, I had pizza earlier, and guess what? I'm going to burn it later. I probably ate more pizza than anybody in my family, but that's okay. It's ultimately it's fuel.
All
I
right.
love food. That's why I work out.
I listen. You and your point was you can eat anything that's fuel. You just got
That
to
is correct.
spin the
Pizza,
fuel,
cake, or
right?
steak. It's all fuel.
You got
Yep.
to spin the fuel, right?
Yes, exactly. Yep. And I give you
I
this example. I can't share it enough. I'll give it to you. I hope both of you can relate. I also shared with my parents, and they say, "Oh, there he goes. He started again." But I'll give it to you. Hopefully, you'll relate. You take a car. When you fill up the gas tank, what happens? At some point, it stops. Correct? It stops. It doesn't let you fill anymore. Uh, some gas stations, of course, they don't have that it won't stop you. It does leak. However, most pumps come with a system where when the tank is full, it doesn't let you pour anymore. Unfortunately, your human body is not like that. When we consume food, there's really nothing that says stop. We could be eating more, but eating more is not the problem. I mean, some might say yes. I think we don't spend enough as human beings. We're just not active enough. So all those extra calories, and that's the picture that I shared with you earlier, Sean. That the men at work, the one where you see a couple of construction workers, looks like that. Feel free to share it if you want. It okay if
it's
you
up
don't.
right now for you.
Yeah. So that one, where it's not the consumption because I love food. It, I think food is such a basic comfort, basic luxury. It's a lot easy to get these days. You don't really hear any. I mean, at least in the United States, we have the opposite problem. We don't have a food crisis, like we're running short of food or anything, but we're just not active enough. And uh, if we're active enough, that processes I'm talking about, that autophagy and your cellular repair, cellular regeneration, stem cell regeneration, all these things apparently happen when autophagy kicks in. And I know, Sean, you and I talked about in your last show how that gets activated. It gets activated when there's a gap between your when we eat food. If we're constantly eating every 3-4 hours, it's hard for it to be activated, for autophagy to be activated. It is a lot easier when we fast. So I wanted to ask you, Kes, where you live at, or your daily life. Do you hear anything about this? Do you know anybody who fasts?
So I'm glad you went into this. So I'm not healthy now. I'm actually all of my blood is good, but I've gained a lot of weight. I was a lineman for 25 years, and I used to do a lot of what you're talking about. I used to because when you're a lineman, you eat when you can, and for me, eating in the
Oh,
morning.
absolutely. Yep.
So eating in the morning is when I like to eat. That's when the reserve crew comes in, and that's when you might get a little break so you can actually relax for a second. It is also my biggest meal of the day. High calorie intake when I work hard. I would eat a chicken fried steak and eggs with gravy, biscuits, toast, a pancake, and people are like, "You ate that in one meal?" Absolutely, I ate that in one
How about
meal.
taters?
Oh, absolutely. Potatoes. I love my potatoes. Fish. Potatoes go with everything. But but here's the secret. At lunchtime, um, I used to keep in my because I had a work truck. I was a lineman, so food. I had to keep food that wouldn't go bad and could stay for a while, not go stale. I ate a lot of nuts. I ate a lot of almonds. I'm from California, Northern California, and we have blue diamond almonds that are up there. So for me, it was just a natural thing to go to almonds, cashews, peanuts, and if I was hungry or if I felt like my blood sugar was getting low, I'd grab a handful of nuts and I'd don't pull that out and isolate it. I put a handful of nuts in my mouth and and that would be what I would need to get through. And sometimes I would eat dinner and sometimes I wouldn't. And sometimes I wouldn't eat until the next day. And sometimes because if I was it might be a little tiny meal. I would try and grab something like an apple to keep your fiber going. Maybe a salad with a lot of broccoli on it because the salad part's not good for you. but it's the other vegetables that go with the salad to keep
But
everything going. And that's the important part that you've got to listen to is so the fasting part, yeah, absolutely. I used to. The problem that I have now is I had to. I'm having to retrain my body because I like that big calorie in the morning, and I'm not doing the work that I used to because I had an injury, and I'm not doing it anymore. So now I have to rebalance, and I'm having to work through my whole life again and start
Desi,
over.
didn't we talk about that on episode 1 of Maha? You have to eat for the work you do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, we
Yeah,
talked
well,
about that. Yeah.
yeah, when I was a lineman, I had all those calories. And what's funny is, and here's the really funny thing is in the summer, I ate differently than I did in the winter. And it was just what my body would crave. In the winter, I would like, especially near the end of summer, I would eat a lot more carbs. And in the summer, I would eat that big meal in the daytime, and then I wouldn't eat anything else through the day. I would drink a lot of water. And if you get tired of water, pour a little tiny bit of pure real fruit juice in there, real juice, not the stuff that's 10% juice. You throw a little bit of juice in your water and that'll give it a different flavor. So you're not just drinking the plain old water. Because if you're drinking, when you're working outside, you're sweating a lot.
So what's
So
your no? Like Desi and I talked about this in Maha 1 first episode. You are you now feeling that now that you're not working on the line? Are you now feeling that like I'm not feeling as hungry, or are you just are you still getting your body is still talking to you and saying no, I need to eat, even though you're not burning calories?
So the problem that I have where I got big is I had a couple of injuries. I had some body things. I also got something called diverticulitis. Um, and I'm having to retrain everything on how I eat and what I eat because diverticulitis, you want food in your gut. You don't necessarily want a lot of food in your gut, but you always kind of want food in your gut because you don't want, but you want the right food in your gut, fiber, stuff like that. So I'm having to retrain, but you're right. I'm used to eating the high calorie food and I'm not doing that work anymore. So the training is hard because I did that for so long. I was at my last job for 25 years. And before that, I had other jobs similar to that where I ate when I could. I mean, and I literally might not eat for days and then sit down and eat a 4 pound burrito. That's not a joke. I would eat a 4 pound burrito and then that would keep me going for like another 3 or 4 days. Um,
Did you say you
that's,
won't eat for days?
yeah, that when I was a snowmaker, I might not eat for days or I might grab like a snack.
Wow. That's
So,
amazing. I mean, that's amazing willpower that you had because I think I have done fasting for, like muscle building purposes. And the longest I've gone was 3 days and, just strictly for muscle building. I didn't have to do that for my work. But I mean, if you did that, that means you had amazing willpower. So you
well,
probably have like really core beliefs. Anything you set your mind to, you probably can do it.
yeah, when you would get hungry and you're sitting around when you're making snow and there's a snack bar there and you go, I can have a Snickers bar, and you're like, Snickers bar just isn't going to hit it, and it's not what I really want. So I might have been hungry, but when you get your body used to fasting, it's not painful like people think it is. And there's something in your head that tells you you want to eat. Now, there's something that you did say that, Desi, I want to sort of disagree with you on. You said when you fill up the tank, it shuts off automatically, and our body doesn't have that. Our body has a switch. We just start to ignore it, and
Oh, absolutely. You're right. Yes.
so we have that switch. We just go, oh, you know what? I'm out with friends. I'm going to eat a little bit more tonight. Oh, it's Thanksgiving. I'm going to eat this week, and I'm just going to eat like a pig. And we do that. And part of the problem that I realized probably about a month ago, and I started trying to change the way I'm doing things. Lots of changes. You can't just decide I'm going to change everything all at once. So I'm trying to retrain my body on what I eat. So I'm trying to get back to the high calorie in the morning. But when I would eat at night, I'm sitting there with my wife, my aunt, maybe my granddaughter, and we're eating. And they go, "Ah, here, just finish this off for me." I'm not really
Right.
hungry.
The whole perception of dad or grandpa as the human garbage disposal.
Yes.
Right.
And so,
That's a great point. Hey, real quick, we're at about 40 minutes in. I want to throw up a graphic here that Desi sent me. And let's go back to autophagy contributes to cell maintenance. So homeostatic maintenance of the mitochondria, maintenance of ROS levels, preventing DNA damage, promoting cell survival, preventing cell death, which is super important. I preventing sense. You'll have to explain sentence to me. Protect against metabolic stress, impact, regeneration of self fatal.
Epigenetic regulation of cell failure. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Uh,
then regulate cellular metabolic state. I want to, since we have you, and we don't always have you, I'm going to leave that graphic up. Can you, Desi,
yeah.
go a little farther into that?
Absolutely. I'll share what I know. And this picture, I didn't make it. I found it on an article. I'm happy to share the link with you later. It basically lists processes that get activated, benefits of autophagy. However, I would say perhaps the most profound topic I would like to insert into everybody who's listening and view and watching our show is inflammation. Most problems in our body, and I know we talked about this in episode one, very briefly, Sean.
Yep.
Inflammation is, from my personal research, and I'm happy to share names of books later, is the leading cause for almost any disease we pick. I mean, you pretty much pick anything. I would say even cancer, from the book I read, is caused by some form of inflammation where it takes over. So when you allow autophagy to work, and by the way, it is basically what you were talking about earlier, Kes. You were saying that we don't give our body a chance, or there is indeed a switch. Absolutely, there is, and that phrase is what I learned is metabolic flexibility. Apparently, it's your body's ability to use the fat in your body or other fuel reserves, and not just food that we eat every day for fuel. So, absolutely, there is a switch, and as a society, we just don't do that enough. But yeah, back to this. It repairs cells, it regenerates cells, and I have felt some of these when I did a 3-day fast. I don't know about you, Cass, when you did your fast for your job, because that's different. When you're doing it for work, there's a part of you that's stressed out from the work, so you may have not felt it that way. But I did it at home, and I could just feel everything clearer. Everything was My vision was clearer. I actually did gain muscle mass, and I felt lighter, better. Uh, so it decreases inflammation, and that leads to so many benefits within your body. It is not for everybody. However, it's a great process. I would say anybody, if you don't have a medical reason to eat food every 3-4 hours, please consider at least giving 8 hours of gap between anytime you eat anything with calories, and gradually increase it to 10, 11. See what happens. Make that a habit, and you might just activate autophagy, and it might cure most of your ailments.
Yeah, I know we talked about this in episode one of Maha over on Orange Podcast Bad, but like I think it's totally achievable to do 24-hour fasts and have one meal a day. Now, does that mean you're not going to drink water or a 12-ounce coffee or something? Yes, you're going to ingest something else, but we'll go to Kess, but don't
Yeah,
you
let's go
think
to Cass. I'll get back to that. Yeah.
don't you think, Desi, that you could go to one meal a day?
Yeah, I would. I
Yes.
mean, you're asking the wrong guy, because I do. I'm a food lover, so you'll see me posting pictures of shady maple smorgasbord
I
tomorrow.
I
Um,
post food porn on my Twitter page, and like,
yeah.
don't can't you imagine eating like this, of
Yeah.
whatever my meal is? Yeah, of course, I love food, but I've also
So I
learned to
do
get to
that.
the 24 hours.
Exactly. So I do that. It's what I do is, on some days I do one meal, because to me, when someone says one meal, it could mean you're basically getting one plate and whatever's in it is. I do it slightly differently. I don't really know what you call that. I guess it's limited interval eating. I pick a window, so it's like a 2 hour, 3 hour window per day. and I only eat in that window. So for me, most days it is, and I know I talked about this in episode one, it is 5 to 8. Some days it's 6 to 9. But in that 3 hour window, I basically eat in moderation anything I want. I don't measure my portions. I go to town with anything I want to eat. I aim for mostly healthy food. And but I want to go back to what Kes was saying. That system that you were talking about, Kes, the switch that we have, what we don't realize. I actually felt that because a couple of, but I want to give you a chance. I think you had something to say, so please go ahead, Kes.
Yeah, so I know there's fasting, right? And here's the thing, and I know what you're trying to achieve, and I would like to be able to do that. Unfortunately, because of what inflammation is what causes diverticulitis. And if you eat too much of one thing, there's something in there that's going to cause inflammation, even if you think it's good for you. Because I was eating almonds all the time. As it turns out, there's something in almonds. If you eat too many almonds, it starts to inflame your bowels and your insides, right? Um, and when you're eating the wrong stuff, I also enjoy very, very spicy food. Like habanero was like a cherry tomato to me. And because of that, it inflamed my intestinal tract, and that's part of what got me to where I am. But going back to what you were saying, just because you need to eat and keep your body going doesn't mean that it needs to be a full meal. You can have and like you don't even have to have a whole apple. You can have like a part of a pear. You can have a little piece of broccoli. You just need to keep that in your body. And I know what you're trying to achieve, and I can't do that anymore because of the limitations. But I can still have minor pieces of food go into my body to keep it working and still achieve sort of what you're trying to. And I understand what you're doing, but a lot of people, it's like when I used to eat the big meal, I still didn't eat that much. I just need to stop not eating the big meal in the morning, which I have. I don't eat the big meal in the morning, and when I do, I'm trying to be smart now with what I'm doing. I'm eating a lot of protein, maybe eggs, and even treating myself to like chorizo, eggs, and a tortilla. So I'm getting the enjoyment out of it, but without all the other stuff that goes with it. And I'm getting the protein, and a protein is different than the carbs. And it's a little tortilla. I'm not going to cut all the carbs out because that's just crazy. Um, and then I'll kind of skip through what I'm eating through the day and trying to modestly cut my dinner portions down. And I'm not doing it all at once. And I think that's the big thing. You don't have to do this all at once. You can do it little pieces at a time. So if you just have a little bit to eat and then you just don't do it, it becomes a habit. And if you just, I'm just gonna, you know what? I'm just gonna see if I can do it. I'm gonna go all the way till dinner and have a small dinner. You know what? Maybe I'll just skip dinner tonight because I'm not really that hungry. Once you once you activate that switch again, your body will tell you what it needs. As long as you don't have the cravings, and you've got to keep the gut health healthy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it sounds like you're listening to your gut. There are many people I know that don't even realize what their gut is. They just don't pay any attention. So that's very impressive that you're listening to your gut and you're making gradual changes. And all those foods you're talking about, I heard you talk about broccoli earlier, and you drink water. You're doing it right. I mean, you're on the right path. And almonds, they're great too. I don't know if you've tried this before. Sometimes I soak them in water and I have because they're great brain food. I try to sell that food to my children. It doesn't work. I can't make them eat almonds, but I eat it. Hey, they look at it and go, "Yeah, right. Like I'm going to eat that."
Oh, no,
um,
for sure.
Yeah,
yeah,
I
um,
can't eat the nuts and seeds anymore. That's the what I had to give up. So for me, and I love almonds. And here you go. You can go ahead and isolate this. I love me a mouthful of nuts. I
Oh, that's our promo for the show. That totally, yes. That's
but
hilarious. Thank you.
but peanuts, cashews, hazelnuts.
Yeah.
I love nuts. I mean,
Oh,
that's it. It's
they're supposed to be high protein, right?
yeah,
They're
they are.
supposed
Yeah,
to be
yep.
energy foods.
Well,
so.
a little funny. Yeah, go ahead. You, go ahead, guess, because I was going to share something funny later. Yeah, about
Well,
nuts.
I was just gonna say. So now I'm trying to switch to beans because beans have got protein, and I'm trying to find that thing that I can get because it's also got the fiber that I need, and I can't have the nuts and seeds. And I used to eat sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, Pomegranates. I just eat the whole pomegranate, the seeds and all. And that's what I used to do. That was partly what would fill me up. You get a pomegranate, and it's got the sugar in there, but you're eating everything that goes with it. The seeds, you crunch them up, and you're getting the fiber that you need. And that's just what's so important. But because I can't do that, I'm having to find other sources to give my body what it craved. And it's been a while since I've had my emergency visit to the hospital for weeks and weeks and weeks on end. And now that I'm out and I'm trying to retrain myself, I'm trying to find that happy spot, but it's hard because I got kidney stones that says you can do this with your diet, and diverticulitis that says you can do this with your diet, and they are not supposed to mix. So, like, I'm supposed to eat asparagus, but asparagus is bad for kidney stones. So, I'm I'm trying to listen to my gut and find what I can do to fill my craving for what my body wants. Because I really want almonds. I've always eaten almonds and cashews, and I can't anymore. So, yeah, I'm sorry, Desi. I rambled. Go ahead. I apologize.
Oh, no, that's good. Everything you're talking about is just very fascinating, and I like the part where you know what you like, the foods, and it sounds like they're whole foods. I mean, cashews, almonds, these are whole foods. So it's interesting. Maybe I read this term in a book, Cass. The book's name is The Inflammation Spectrum, and it talked about something. It's a phrase. We may have touched on this a little bit, Sean, in our episode one. It's biodiversity. So what I learned from the book is the most unique factor about any human being is not just their eyes or the way they look or their hair or anything like that or genetic traits. It's actually biodiversity, which is in your gut. So there's no two guts that would ever like the same set of foods. Every gut is different. For you, it could be almonds. I know for me, I like peanut butter, whole peanut butter, not the one with palm oil, and I like peanuts. I consume a lot of them. The humor I was going to share is when we go to Texas Roadhouse here, they don't have any rule about how many free peanuts they give you if you order a meal. So when I order a beer or a meal, I have like 5 6 bags and I finish them, and they probably don't care, but it's free
Hmm.
protein and carbs that you get with your meal.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Hey, listen, we got about 8 minutes left, and this is the most important thing going on the internet right now, and it's not. I promise you, it's not. But let me get your opinions on Israel, Iran, from both of you.
Oh, Desi, you go first, sir.
oh, mine. I don't keep up that much. My personal opinion is always, it's not our war. It's our country. But I'm not talking about Israel. I'm just talking about my personal belief with politics. Let's take care of America and folks here, and continue with peace through strength. But I really honestly haven't followed up in the last few hours. It was a longer work day. So what's happening right now, Sean? And I'm happy to
We
share my
got
thoughts.
so Iran is sending thousands of missiles at this point into Tel Aviv. They're striking. They're not striking military assets. They're striking civilian like apartment buildings, high rises, things like that. And I will tell you, this is who Iran is. They don't fight a fair fight. You don't like who fights a fair fight? Israel does. America, for the most part, does. And you're going to see Bibi Netanyahu, Benjamin, has already said this is going to be a 12-day war, and Israel's going to be decimated. But so what? Like, if you just turn on your TV to the news channel, what you're going to see is rockets flying into Tel Aviv, the Iron Dome taking out 90% of them, but they can't get them all. By design, because Iran is flying as many as they can to overwhelm the system, and they're hitting civilians. They're not targeting military assets. They're not targeting military bases, and that's what's going on live right now.
That's very cool.
For
Yeah.
everyone that's listening to us live, Kess, thoughts?
I have been glued to this. In fact, I lost total track of time um, talking to people, listening to things. They launched rockets at our base in Baghdad. Um, some contractors, I think too, from what I understand, this isn't
We
official.
we don't hold that base anymore. Just time out. We don't hold that base anymore.
We
Biden
don't.
gave it up.
Yes, but we have civilians still working in Baghdad. But they hit the embassy in Baghdad, not the base, the embassy. Did I say base? My apologies. So they were launching rockets at the embassy, and we still have civilians in Baghdad. And last I heard, there were two civilians that were hurt, not dead. There were two that were hurt, and there were um, the rest were not. It was close, but not a lot has happened. And this is from some of the people that I've talked to that have assets close by. It scares me because Iran if they have the nuclear capability, like we were understanding, um, and Iran is the head of that's where the terrorists live, is in Iran. And of course, with everything that's happened here over the past 4 years, it's entirely possible that the 250th birthday that's coming up on Saturday, where we also have 2,600 uh, protests scheduled, could be a big target for a lot of people. I would highly suggest most people stay home.
Yeah, and it's a
Yeah,
different topic, but guess
I
it's so
think.
important.
Yeah,
The
and no, I like Cass. I think that's fair. I think listen, don't go to the protests is fair, but it's also why should people live in fear? But like specifically, I want to get your opinion on so Israel's going to respond to what we're seeing right now. This is inbound to Israel. In are we going to see social media like just lose their minds and say Israel bad?
Israel's always bad on social media. That's absolutely what they're going to do. I'm sure that's already. I haven't listened to any of that social media. I've been listening to the social media that I have been listening to has been a lot less politics and a lot more what's really going on. In other words, I've been listening to people in Tel Aviv. I've been talking to people in Tel Aviv where they've left their cameras outside running so we can watch. I don't know if you've seen it. I've watched the Iron Dome get hit and watch what happens. Unfortunately, I also saw one get through. It wasn't where my asset was, but it did get through to somewhere in Tel Aviv. And I got, unfortunately, I'm not saying I got to, I did witness that happen.
All right, so Desi, I'm not asking you to pick a side. I would never do that. But what's your guttural response to this? Because what we see on the internet, right? You have social media. I know you do.
yes.
Is this guttural response to, oh my God, see, America's involved in another war. And I say, no, we're not. And they're like, but they're helping defend the airspace over Israel. And I was like, that's not a war. Any thoughts on that, Desi?
Yeah, I would say when America has allies and Israel is one of our greatest allies, I would say giving support to your ally is not, waging a war on other countries. So being an ally, there's nothing wrong with that. So I would say America is on the side that we should be in, because when you're protecting your allies, you're also defending your own country, and I think we're on the right side.
I was looking at trying to make a video. I was gonna grab some of this stuff. Maybe I'll do it later tonight, and just play the Queen song "Best Friends." Right?
Yeah,
Because we're helping shoot missiles out of the sky. Who could hurt? How does that make anybody mad that we're using the Patriot missile batteries, which is our version of the Iron Dome, and maybe some battleships to just shoot rockets out of the sky and save human lives? How can you hate that? And I think if I could
yeah,
pair that up with "We're Best Friends" by Queen, that might be a
yeah,
banger.
A banger, no pun intended.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, I'm excited
Alright.
about tomorrow, and this is another. How many minutes do we have, Sean? I want to make sure we're
We got
we're
we got
sticking
full
to that.
60 seconds. You got time.
Yeah, I mean tomorrow it's Trump's birthday, and but it is also Army's 250th birthday, and of course the news channels that I occasionally flip just to see how crazy the other side is, they want to make it look like it's Trump celebrating his birthday or Trump's parade, but they don't want you to know that it's the Army's birthday, 250th, and the 250th anniversary, and of
It's
course any
important.
country should celebrate. Yeah, very important. Yeah, the most powerful country in the world, most powerful free country. Yeah.
All right, we're gonna close this one out. I gotta give thanks. You can go over to my X page. You will find profiles for Desi. You will find profiles for Kess. You will be able to follow them. They're very important people in what we do here. Desi, I don't know. What do we do these twice a month? The Maha spaces.
Sure. Yes. Yep.
We'll do something. We'll get it together, but let's close it out. We got to close it out so that we can keep it right at that hour. Bye, Kev. Bye, Desi.
God bless everyone. Bye bye.
I love you guys. God bless you all.